which recognizes the most courageous rescue or rescue attempt in the Commonwealth. She's also received the Governor General's Commendation for Bravery. And just a few months ago, while in Montreal, Tamara had lunch with the man she rescued. It was their first time seeing each other since that day. She said it was a wonderful experience. These days, Tamara is working on another rescue, the environment. She runs a business that uses seaweed to make an animal feed additive that helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions from livestock. She says, "It is ironic that my life's journey has been so influenced by the ocean, something that I once feared, avoided, nearly drowned in. And now it has become a central and positive theme in my life." That's all for this week. Storylines is produced by AC Rowe. The show is part of the CBC Audio Doc Unit. I'm Danny Kerslake. Thanks for listening.
This is CBC Radio 1, 990 AM, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg. Saturday, March 23rd, we bid farewell to the 18th Prime Minister of Canada. CBC News presents the state funeral for the Right Honourable Brian Mulroney. Tune into CBC, CBC News Network, or CBC News Explore at 9 a.m. Eastern and on CBC Radio 1 at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for live comprehensive coverage. Let us come together in remembrance. The state funeral for Brian Mulroney, Saturday, March 23rd on CBC, Canada's trusted news source.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel in Winnipeg. At 12 o'clock, it's minus 13 in Winnipeg. Sunny today with more clouds coming later on. A high of minus 9, but it'll feel colder at minus 16 this afternoon. People living in 1010 Sinclair properties are frustrated and worried about their health as the strike involving their caregivers is in its second week. 160 workers at the assisted living apartments for 100 people living with disabilities went on strike March 6th. Lori Ross lives in the Focus 2 block. She says there have been staff brought in from a private company to care for them, but says it's been inconsistent.
To be honest, a lot of people are getting a little frayed on the edges. Nobody knows what time they're going to bed or what time they're getting up. It's never the same people. We had the same people for about a week and a half, and then the other day they got pulled and put over to 1010.
Ross says some of the staff coming in have limited English, and others say their company policies don't allow them to provide certain kinds of care. CUPE says talks are ongoing. Manitoba's Families Minister predicts the child welfare system will look very different in the next 4 years. Nahani Fontaine says she is working to decolonize CFS so it better serves children in care. Fontaine admits the system hasn't always done well in making sure children are safe. This comes after comments from Police Chief Danny Smythe that suspects in 4 violent robberies were in foster or group homes. Fontaine says changes are coming.
Transferring jurisdiction of child welfare to where it rightfully belongs in our communities with our leadership and our families and our culture and our nations. And so we are actively engaged in those discussions with leadership.
Fontaine says one of the changes she'd like to see is ensuring family members who care for foster children are supported by the province. Winnipeg police want your help investigating the homicide of a man yesterday. Officers were called to an apartment building in the 800 block of Main Street just after 9 yesterday morning. An unresponsive man was rushed to hospital where he died. The homicide unit asks anyone with video surveillance or any information that could help investigators to get in touch with police or Crime Stoppers. Liberal MP Anthony Housefather says he's reevaluating his place in the Liberal caucus after Monday night's vote on the Middle East. The House of Commons voted in favor of an NDP motion on Palestinian statehood. The motion included a call to cease Canadian arms exports to Israel.
The line had been crossed when my party members got up and cheered and gave a standing ovation to Heather McPherson and the NDP. I started reflecting as to whether or not I belonged. And I will let you know further how I feel over the coming days. For the moment, I'm still there.
Housefather currently serves as parliamentary secretary to the president of the Treasury Board, a junior cabinet role in the Trudeau government. The Newfoundland and Labrador provincial budget won't be tabled today as scheduled. That's a crowd of fishermen and women blocking MLAs and government officials from entering the legislature. They say the province is over-regulating the fishery and preventing new processors and buyers from entering the market. Scandinavian countries continue to lead the world when it comes to happiness. The annual World Happiness Report is out, and for the 7th year in a row, people living in Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden have been determined to be the most content. Jan Emmanuel Deneve is one of the authors of the report.
Wealth does matter, but especially also how wealth is distributed. So in Finland, Denmark, and the other Scandinavian countries, you'll find that wealth is way more evenly distributed. So more people benefit from the wealth that's being generated in these countries. And then also each one supports a welfare state that provides psychological stability.
Canadians are ranked 15th on the happiness scale, down 2 spots from last year. And for the first time in the history of the poll, the United States is out of the top 20. It has fallen to number 23. And the RM of St. Laurent, an hour northwest of Winnipeg, has a rich linguistic history. But sometimes that diversity has led to the little town being divided by language. Some community members have been working on building bridges through sports. The CBC's Emily Brass met some of them on the basketball court.
Boys on the basketball team in St. Laurent come from 2 different schools and speak 2 different languages during practice.
Tous les garçons, c'est comme très très proche. On est tous comme une famille.
Go to different schools, I still think we're very close and good friends with each other.
Older generations say it wasn't always like that. St. Lawrence School is just across the street from École Communautaire Aurel Lemoine. Principal Melanie Sparks grew up speaking Michif French.
There's the Francophone Métis and the English Métis, and so the community seemed very divided. I wanted to bridge those differences.
Both schools are small, so there aren't always enough students for sports teams. Crystal Miller-Corshane used to be principal at St. Lawrence School. She's also Métis, but grew up speaking English and was captain of the basketball team back in grade 12.
It was really important for me to keep that basketball program striving here in St. Laurent, and then I thought it would be really nice just to have everybody included.
The schools teamed up just a few years ago and have already reached provincials twice. Emily Brass, CBC News, St. Laurent.
That is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local news is at 12:30.
Good afternoon, Manitoba. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM, 990 AM in Winnipeg, 97.9 FM in Brandon, 100.9 FM in Thompson, everywhere on your CBC Listen app, and of course on our CBC Manitoba YouTube live stream. It's Wednesday, March 20th. I'm Chloe Friesen. I'm filling in for Marjorie Dowhouse. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. Coming up on the show, a remote news bureau has been set up in Eriksdale. It's part of CBC Manitoba's Communities in Focus. Find out how you can share your stories with us next on Radio Noon. But coming up first, Steinbach turns 150 years old this year. We'll talk to an organization that wants to celebrate it this summer. Steinbach is celebrating a big milestone this year, the city turning 150. To celebrate, organizations in Steinbach are recognizing the city in different ways, including the city's annual festival, Summer in the City. Carla Campbell is the festival coordinator for Summer in the City and joins us now. Hello, Carla.
Hi.
For someone who doesn't know what Summer in the City is, how would you describe the festival to them?
Essentially, our festival is a big street festival. We shut down 3 blocks of Main Street, and we celebrate arts, culture, and heritage in the Southeast.
How long does it last each summer?
How long does the festival run?
Yes.
It's a 3-day festival, so we go over the 3rd weekend in June, which always ends up being on Father's Day weekend.
Oh, that's fun. It's a fun way to celebrate for families.
Yes, dads ride free on Sunday
for
the Midway.
That's a great deal. How are you guys including Steinbach's 150-year anniversary into your festival?
Well, we want to throw a party. We don't have all the details worked out yet, but we're thinking cake and balloons, maybe some pictures, a heritage wall. We already have guided heritage tours that happen throughout downtown. We have wagon tours with horse-drawn wagon rides that tour downtown. Some of our historical sites you can see on this ride. So we do already do some things that take and celebrate the heritage of Steinbach, but because it is 150 this year, we're looking at doing something a little bit bigger.
Sounds like your classic birthday party with the balloons and the cake. That sounds amazing.
And thousands of people.
Yeah, probably one of the bigger birthday parties people will attend. But
yes.
So Summer in the City, you're also celebrating. You're turning 15 this year. How does that feel?
Well, we have had our challenges. Like the last couple of years, it was almost when we had to shut down, and it almost feels like we're kind of restarting again. And in the last 15 years, the organization itself has gone through shifts where it had been part of the city of Steinbach, was overseeing us. In the last couple of years, we've gone off on our own. We're our own entity now. So we're really rebuilding and redefining who we are and what we represent and how we like to serve the Southeast.
What does the festival feel like, the organization, the group of people who put it on? What does it feel like to be at this place 15 years in?
We, every year we try to continue to add more pieces to the festival or to really plump up what we already have going on. So it's really cool to look back at old brochures and old photographs and see how much we have grown and expanded the festival. So it feels there is a level of excitement because we always look for new ways to get new cultures and new artists and things like that involved in the street festival itself.
Now, not only has the festival changed, but Steinbach, it's been around for 150 years. How have you seen it change over the years?
The developments, the different businesses that have come into the city, it just, and every time you look, there's a new development going up. People desire to live in this location. They love the city. They love the heart of the city. And there is just so much that the city has to offer that it keeps attracting families to come.
Carla, what do you love most about Steinbach? I'm curious.
I don't know if I can actually say one thing. There's always something to do. When you go to Steinbach, you'll always find something to do. There's different organizations that have activities you can get involved in. There's different art programs and different we've got movie theater and, shopping centers and numerous coffee shops. So if there is something that you want to do, you can find it in Steinbach.
What do you say to people who have never been to Steinbach before and they're like, oh, I might want to take a weekend trip out to Steinbach? What's one thing that you always recommend that they do?
I, myself, love to get out and walk about and look at things. So Steinbach has really developed their walking paths. So they have got beautiful areas, and some of the older streets have just got these full mature trees that stretch across the street. There are so many beautiful places where you can take your kids out, and you can walk around. We've got pocket parks all over the place. And then, of course, we have our bigger parks with walking paths and a dog park. And there's just so much to see. You don't have to be inside. You can get out and walk around, and just so many beautiful areas in the city itself.
Sounds like Steinbach in the springtime is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, there is a lot of effort that goes into keeping everything in our city beautiful.
Now, if people want to stay updated about Summer in the City and that potential birthday party, how can they do that?
We have a website, summerinthecity.ca. You can head there for all of the latest information. Of course, we're also on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us there. We just had our concert announcement today, so there is some fresh information there as well.
Do you want to give us a sneak peek? Who are you excited to hear from?
Oh, yeah. No, it's already been released on Friday. We're having James Barker Band out for our country night. And then on Saturday, we're doing our Titans of Rock. It's a Bon Jovi and Journey tribute band.
Yes.
So it is going to be a good time.
That sounds like it's going to be a great time. Carla, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Carla Campbell is the festival coordinator for Summer in the City.
Brady Keeper and Bridget Laquette both played here. What future star will you see this year? The Manitoba Indigenous Cultural Education Center Annual Indigenous Minor Hockey Tournament is back March 22nd to 24th at the Hockey for All Center. The best Indigenous minor hockey players in Manitoba come together in competition, and CBC is a proud sponsor. Visit cbc.ca/Manitoba/community for more.
The time is 12:13. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg, 97.9 FM in Brandon, everywhere on your CBC Listen app. Hello to the folks watching on the YouTube live stream. Thanks to Travis Peterson for making that run so smoothly. And hello to Dylan Longhurst, our tech and director today on the show. Lots still to come. I'm Chloe Friesen, filling in for Marjorie Dowhouse. And later in the show, we'll bring you to the municipality of Eriksdale, where CBC Manitoba journalists are ready to hear your stories, how you can take part in Communities in Focus. That's coming up. As well, we hear from a Winnipeg man who says you should be on the lookout for coyotes, especially while walking your dogs. We'll bring you more on that story just after your CBC local news. But coming up, the Winkler police are warning residents about a new email scam that is impersonating the police. We'll find out how to spot the scam and what to do. That is coming up. Turning to your forecast. I mean, welcome to spring. It doesn't really feel like it, but we are officially in spring. That wind that has been very, very strong will diminish through today, but that colder weather will set in. Partly cloudy today here in Winnipeg. We'll be dipping down to -18 overnight. Our high in Winnipeg today is -9. Churchill, drifting snow, -29. Brandon, you're sitting at -14. Pilot Mound is at -13. Our hotspot is Melita at -10. Thompson, -23. And sunny. And here in Winnipeg at the Forks, it is -13 and mainly sunny. If you get an email from the Winkler police saying they caught you speeding on Main Street, don't believe it. And don't send anyone money or click any links. It's a scam. Winkler's Chief of Police, Ryan Hunt, is here to explain. Thank you for joining us, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you.
So what does this email look like? What are people in Winkler receiving?
So it's just a template that they're using, and it tells the person that they've been caught speeding. It gives the address that they were where the violation happened. In this sense, it said that it was 185 Main Street, which, interestingly, is the address for our police station. And it tells them that they need to send some money to make payment for their speeding ticket.
When were Winkler police first made aware of this scam? When did you first hear about it?
We first heard about it last week. We had a member of the community send us kind of a screenshot from their phone of one that they had received.
Have you heard from any other police stations in Manitoba that are dealing with a scam like this?
Well, I heard in the news that Winnipeg police had also been seeing the same type of a scam coming through, where people were getting text messages saying that they were speeding. And there was a few days after that we had received one.
Now, to clarify, the Winkler police, I'm guessing you don't send emails when someone is speeding. Let's say someone does get caught speeding in Winkler. How are they ticketed?
So the ticket would be issued right at the time. So if we catch somebody speeding, we would pull them over, and the ticket would be issued right on the spot.
So no emails?
No, we wouldn't send out an email or a text message asking for payment on a fine. That would never happen.
If someone sees an email like this in their inbox, what should they do?
Best advice is just ignore it, and even go as far as just delete it right out of your inbox.
Should they make Winkler police aware that they've received this email?
Yeah, they certainly can do that. Let us know that they've received one. We like knowing what's going on out there. But if if you're not owed any money, you don't necessarily need to report it. But it's nice to know what's going on out there.
Are you aware if anyone has lost money to this scam at all?
I am not aware of any that have lost money, fortunately.
Okay. Lastly, what should people be aware of when it comes to scam emails or just scams in general? What are some of the signs that folks should look out for?
Generally, it's things like this to look for where they're asking for money to be sent to them, and it's generally playing on people's emotions. There's the typical grandparent scam that I think most everybody is aware of, and they're playing on your emotions and getting you to send them some money to help a grandchild get out of jail or whatever the case may be. So I just tell people that whenever you come across an email or a phone call such as this, just hang up and maybe try to make some inquiries with family to find out if it's real or not. A scammer will typically want to keep you on the line and make it sound like it's urgent, that you need to pay this money really quick. But if it's a legitimate person, or if it's a police service that's asking for money, they will allow you the time to do some background checks and make sure that it's real.
Ryan, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us and explaining. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Ryan Hunt is Winkler's chief of police.
All over Turtle Island, host Rosanna Deerchild welcomes you to Unreserved.
Indigenous peoples are retelling history through an Indigenous lens.
Unreserved, celebrating 10 years, looking back at how far we've come, and looking forward to the journey ahead.
How do we keep the story going?
Unreserved with Rosanna Deerchild. Now at a new time, Sunday afternoon at 2:30 in Newfoundland, 3 Pacific, 4 Mountain, and on demand on CBC Listen.
It's just about 12:20. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Chloe Friesen filling in for Marjorie Dowhouse. And now that spring is officially here, I know it doesn't feel like it, but it is officially here. Spring cleaning season has also arrived. And there are some areas that typically get a seasonal spruce up, like your wardrobe and your outdoor spaces. Julie Van Rosendahl says there's another part of your life that you can spring clean, your spice drawer. Van Rosendahl is a cookbook author and CBC radio food columnist.
Ground spices really start to deteriorate right away. So some people say no more than 3 months. I don't know who replaces their spices every 3 months or 6 months. Some say a year or two. Whole spices will last a lot longer. You know, things like cumin seed will hold on to flavor longer than ground, just less surface area, right? So the problem is you don't know how old they are when you buy them. So to buy them somewhere that there's a lot of turnover is a good idea. If you get really big bags of them, maybe share and keep in a container that doesn't have a lot of air, a lot of space in there. And in the dark, I should also, when I talk about heat and light, a lot of people put their spices on the back of the stove. That's not a great place for them. Or shaking the spice over your steaming pot of stew, and then the moisture gets into the jar. I love roasted vegetables, and that's one of my favorite ways to use spices and spice blends is on roasted vegetables. But if you have leftovers, throw them in your hummus. So I've got hummus with cumin roasted carrots in there. And then I did a tadka or a chonk on top, which is spices infused in warm fat, which is very, very common in cooking in the Indian subcontinent. And it blooms the spices. It brings out sort of the flavor compounds. So you can use oil or ghee or any kind of fat. And so this one I put some cumin seeds, some mustard seeds, some chilies, some curry leaves, crumbled up curry leaves, and you just warm it and pour it over top. And then in the hummus, to go back to the hummus, I'm going back and forth. I've got the roasted carrots, which sort of gives a sweetness, and tahini and lemon and, sort of the usual olive oil. And then I have a friend who makes a dark roasted curry powder blend. It's got coriander, cumin, fennel, curry leaves, cinnamon, cardamom, and clove. And it's roasted, so it's great for dishes that are not cooked, like hummus, because the spices have already been toasted. And toasting, just like infusing them in oil is a heat conduit, so it sort of brings out those flavors. But often you'll toast your spices, especially whole spices. The ground ones can burn very easily, but if you toast them and then grind them, if you have a spice mill, that's always a good idea, right? Because whole spices just hold on to their flavor longer. And if you do buy things like fresh thyme, you can dry them and store them in your spice rack. Just make sure they're completely dry. Turn the oven on the very lowest that it can go and spread it out, and then crumble it off the stems. And store it. But blends can go a long way. You know, garam masala and chaat masala, tahini, ras al hanout, za'atar, like lots of blends that you can use in a lot of different ways.
Julie Van Rosendaal is a cookbook author and CBC radio food columnist. For a full archive of Julie's recipes, you can visit her website at dinnerwithjulie.com or on cbc.ca/Calgary. And that hummus sounded pretty good, so I think I am going to have to follow up on that. Coming up this weekend, a very exciting event. The Juno Awards are happening this weekend, and while the majority of artists nominated for the Junos come from Ontario and Quebec, one Yukon artist hopes to pick one up. Bluesman Brandon Isaac is originally from Whitehorse, and he's up for Blues Album of the Year for his latest record, One Step Closer. Here's Brandon now with the title track.
Every day is another day that I'm one step closer to you. I'll get down on my knees and pray. That's about all that I can do. And early in the morning, the sun will shine. But then I know everything gonna be alright. 'Cause every day is another day. I'm one step closer to you. In the evening, with the setting sun, that's another day, good and done. It's been way too long, and the way I feel, you know it can't be wrong. Yes, and when I reach up to the sky, then I know that everything gonna be alright. Every day is another day that I'm one step closer to you. One step closer. Today is the day I'm one step closer to you. Time slips away, and there ain't nothing that we can do. Yeah, when I reach up to the sky, yes, then I know that everything will be alright. Every day is another day that I'm one step closer to you. Every day, I'm one step closer to you. Every day is another day. When I reach up to the sky, then I know that everything gonna be alright. Every day is another day that I'm one step closer to you. That I'm one step closer to you. But that I'm one step closer to you.
That was Brandon Isaac with One Step Closer. His new album of the same name is nominated for Blues Album of the Year at this year's Juno Awards, and they'll be handed out this weekend in Halifax. It actually marks the first time the Junos have been in that city since 2006. Lots to look forward to. Nelly Furtado is the host. Alison Russell, Elisa P. Asanabi, The Beaches, Charlotte Cardin, and more will perform. And of course, it's not hard to find the Junos. They'll be broadcast and streamed live across Canada from 7 p.m. Central Time here on CBC TV, CBC Gem, CBC Radio 1, CBC Music, CBC Listen, or on CBC Music's YouTube page. So you're going to want to tune in to the Junos there this Sunday.
Hi, I'm Una Chaplin, and I'm the host of a new podcast called Hollywood Exiles. It tells the story of how my grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, and many others were caught up in a campaign to root out communism in Hollywood. It's a story of glamour and scandal and political intrigue and a battle for the soul of a nation.
Hollywood Exiles, available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for tuning into Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Chloe Friesen filling in for Marjorie Dowhouse. Hello to Dylan Longhurst, our tech and director of the show today. And Travis Peterson is making things run so smoothly on our CBC Manitoba YouTube live stream. Hello to the folks watching there. Still lots to come on Radio Noon this afternoon. A Winnipeg man says you should be on the lookout for coyotes, especially while walking your dogs. We'll hear from him. He came across a pack of coyotes while walking his two dogs. As I said, we'll hear his story coming up in the show as well. We'll bring you to the municipality of Eriksdale, where CBC Manitoba journalists are ready to hear your stories. We'll tell you how you can take part in Communities in Focus. That's coming up here on Radio Noon. Taking a peek at the temperature. Today is spring. It might not feel like spring is in the air, but it is officially spring. Cold temperatures across the province. Partly cloudy today in Winnipeg. -9 is our high, dipping down to -18. You'll get a full look at your cross-provincial forecast from Riley Lachuk coming up. But first, your CBC local news.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel in Winnipeg. At 12:30, it's -12 in Winnipeg. Sunny today with some clouds on the way later, a high of -9 today. The 100 people living in 1010 Sinclair housing are desperate for their caregivers to get back on the job. For the past 2 weeks, workers at the nonprofit assisted living apartments for people living with disabilities have been on strike. Lori Ross lives in one of the blocks. She says workers from a private company have been coming in to give people the care they require, but it's inconsistent.
From the tenant's perspective, it's extremely frustrating because you never know from one minute to the next who's going to be in. And then you've got all the policies from the different organizations. Well, we can't do this, or we're not supposed to do that, and I'm just going, oh my God, I just want to go to bed.
Ross says some go hours waiting to be taken to the washroom. She says they're worried about the long-term impact on their health. CUPE says talks are ongoing. Manitoba's Families Minister says she's working on changes to the CFS system to ultimately benefit children in care. CBC has been doing a series on the issues in the child welfare system after Winnipeg's chief of police said 4 violent robberies involved children who were either in foster or group homes. Minister Nahani Fontaine says she is in talks with Indigenous leadership to transfer the jurisdiction of child welfare back to communities.
We're looking to decolonize the system and move more towards customary and kinship care and away from stranger-based care. Having said that, I, as the minister responsible, fully understand and appreciate and honor the work that foster parents do.
Fontaine says in the past, family members who have taken on the care of children haven't been supported by the system. She says changes are underway and predicts CFS will look very different in 4 years. Winnipeg police are asking for your help investigating a homicide that happened yesterday. Just after 9 a.m., officers responded to a call about an unresponsive man at an apartment in the 800 block of Main Street. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Anyone with information or video surveillance is asked to call Crime Stoppers or the Homicide Unit. That is CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 1:30. A quick look at our weather here in the city. Sunny and cloudy today. It'll feel colder this afternoon at feels like -16. In Brandon, sun and clouds in store for that city with a high of -9 as well. Sunny and cloudy in Dauphin and a high of -9. And sunny in the Pas with a high of -10. And in Thompson, we're looking at sun and cloud today with a high of -16, a risk of frostbite in Thompson.
Thank you so much, Rosanna.
You're welcome.
That was CBC's Rosanna Hempel with a look at your CBC local news. Weather specialist Riley Lachuk joins us in the studio for a more detailed look at our forecast. What do we have in store for the rest of spring, for the beginning of spring?
I said this on the TV show last night. It's more like spring on paper.
Yeah.
Or spring on the calendar. The season hasn't quite turned yet as fast as we'd like. So we're going to still be in this below seasonal airflow for several more days yet, even, looking long range into next week. So looking at satellite radar right now, mainly clear skies across Manitoba right now. A few clouds in southwestern Manitoba. This ahead of an Alberta Clipper that is sinking south of the border. So there is a slim chance as we get into early in the morning, even on Friday, that we could see some light flurries in the extreme southwestern corner. I'm talking like Pipestone, Pearson, Melita into that region. Could get a few stray flurries from this Clipper system. It is tracking south of us. The biggest impact we'll see in Manitoba will likely be just a little bit of cloud as we head into early Friday morning. Along the international border as we head into Friday, a good chance of some flurries as well. Otherwise, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across Manitoba looking sunny and cold. Winds do die down as we get through the afternoon today. So right now we're already seeing winds start to die down in western Manitoba. So we're seeing winds out of the northwest gusting to 5 and 10 kilometers an hour. So not really much in terms of gust right now. In the southwest, we start to see that wind taper off as we get through the afternoon today. So by about supper time, looking at winds in Winnipeg, southwest 15 gusting 30. Still seeing winds up to 40, though, for areas like Lynn Lake and Churchill, but winds do die down in the north as we get into the day on Thursday. So we will see lighter conditions wind-wise heading into the day today. Right now, -12 in Winnipeg and Portage la Prairie, -13 in Brandon. Keep in mind, normal daytime high for this time of the year is +1. A normal low would be -10. So we're even below that normal low for this time of the year. -28 in Churchill, -21 in Thompson. It's going to be a pretty cold day out there, relatively speaking, for this time of the year. -16 in Thompson with a mainly sunny sky today. A little bit of wind in Churchill, -24 through the afternoon. -9 in Winnipeg, -8 in Brandon with a few clouds as we get through the afternoon today. And really we get stuck in this cool pattern for the next 5 days at least. Chloe, -6 for Friday, -4 for Saturday. A little bit of cloud moves in for Sunday, -5, and flurries of the afternoon Monday, and -2 degrees. So we're not quite entering spring yet, but maybe soon.
You know what? It actually kind of helps because then I can not feel as bad for putting off spring cleaning because it doesn't feel like spring, so I can't clean.
Yeah. I guess the one upside is this weather is good for car washing.
That's true. It's not as muddy or
not as
gross
muddy, not
or
as
slushy.
Sloppy, a little bit sunnier. So
there we go. 2 positives. No spring cleaning except for your car.
Except for your car. Exactly.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
That's your CBC weather specialist, Riley Lachuk. A Winnipegger is warning those who walk along Omens Creek after a close call with coyotes. Brian Grant says he was taking his 2 dogs for a walk in the Brookside Cemetery on Monday around 4 p.m. when he noticed something moving in the distance. He told his story to CBC's Josh Crabb.
I'm an older person in the 70s, and so my eyesight is not that great for far thing. But then I realized, no, that's not a dog, that's a coyote, and there's more than one, and they're all looking, and they're starting howling. I figured they might have been even protecting their den. I tried to get my dogs to turn around and go to get out of there, and they saw the coyotes, and of course they pulled on the leashes and right out of my hands, and they started chasing the coyotes. So they all split every which way possible. So my dogs went out of sight, chasing these things, and then I'm calling, whistling. They respond to whistles, and one of them finally comes back with a coyote chasing her, right, and trying to nip at her bum. She does have a bit of a wound, right, but nothing outrageous. They've all had their shots. So, and then the other one I didn't hear for a long time, and I didn't want to go running into where the coyotes are because then they could turn and attack me. So I stood at the edge of the cemetery and got my other dog, to come back. And finally, she came back with another coyote chasing her. Finally, I put my arms up and was screaming like heck, and they backed down, and they just kind of stood there, and they did all this howling and barking. I didn't turn around because that's when they come after you. I backed up, and then we ran for the car.
And were you attacked at all? I know you mentioned your one dog was nipped.
This one came within about 6-8 feet of me, and I really had to be aggressive and show my teeth, my mouth, and everything to get it kind of like took my leg up and then jumped down like really scary, scary, and that really put it off, and it ran with its tail between its legs. It was the only way that I was going to save myself and the dogs. These are very emboldened coyotes. One of them was, anyways. It must have been the leader of the pack. So thank God I didn't get bit. I hope nothing happens to the coyotes. I was involved in working for the provincial government for natural resources for a really long time, and I saw lots of wildlife and all over the province and everything like that. So I would hate to see them kill them. Yeah.
Do you plan to go back there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next time I'll bring a stick.
That was Brian Grant speaking with CBC's Josh Crabb about his coyote encounter. And the province says that Manitoba Conservation Officer Service logged 335 reported interactions in 2022, and that number jumped to 677 in 2023. The province says it's important to note that the majority of these reports are not conflicts involving coyotes, but rather reported sightings.
Hi, I'm Pia Chattopadhyay, your host of the Sunday Magazine. Every weekend, we help you make sense of our changing world through conversations that cut deep and mine the ideas driving society, politics, and cultures today, with plenty of music, wonder, and fun along the way. So come along and join me for the Sunday Magazine, Sunday mornings at 9:30 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
The time is 12:40. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, perhaps on your CBC Listen app, or you're tuning in from your CBC Manitoba YouTube live stream. But this song is for those who are tuning in from their car. Here's a song for the road from Manitoba folk duo Two Crows for Comfort. This is A Few More Miles.
It's been a little while since I've seen either of my folks. We'd sit around just making jokes about the glory days. Sometimes it's hard to smile, 'cause things don't seem to run like we hoped. We jumped the gun, I say, on darkest days. Countless hours of road I know, little bit longer, I take things slow. One more stop at the Texaco, a few more miles and I'll be home. One more lovely night in a room full of perfect strangers. This crazy world may be full of danger, but here don't feel that way. one more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home. Hold my hand in prayer and hope. I get there safe and take things slow. Just one more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home. It's been a little while since I've seen either of my folks. We'll sit around just making jokes till the summer ends. Countless hours the road I know. A little bit longer I take things slow. One more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home. Hold my hand in prayer and hope. I get there safe and take things slow. Just one more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home. Countless hours the road I know. A little bit longer I take things slow. Just one more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home. Hold my hand in prayer and hope. I get there safe and take things slow. Just one more stop at the Texaco. A few more miles and I'll be home.
That's Two Crows for Comfort with A Few More Miles. You'll find that on their latest EP, Next to Me, Volume 1. We're going to travel a few more miles to Eriksdale, and residents of Eriksdale, CBC Manitoba wants to meet you. Today at the Eriksdale Recreation Centre Cafe, you'll find CBC Manitoba journalists who are eager to hear your stories. It's part of CBC's Communities in Focus program, a community news bureau project that aims to hear Manitoban stories and share them with the rest of the province. Nadia Kidwai is CBC Manitoba's senior producer of Community Connection, and she just arrived in Eriksdale. Hello, Nadia.
Yes, literally just arrived, like 5-10 minutes ago. So this is perfect timing. Hi, Chloe.
Hello. How was the drive to Eriksdale,
The
Nadia?
drive was lovely. I was just saying to some community members here, because last week when we came up to St. Laurent, it was quite foggy, so you didn't really get to experience the full blueness of the prairie skies up on Highway 6. So it was a lovely sunny drive up to Eriksdale today. And just got into the Eriksdale Recreation Centre, figured out how to set up my CBC Manitoba banner. And I'm really looking forward to meeting members of the community here at Eriksdale. I'll be here from 1 to 6 p.m. on what we're calling these community office hours. And that's just really a chance for anyone in the community, and you don't have to be from Eriksdale, anywhere in the surrounding community, to come and drop by and share your stories with me, with CBC Manitoba, what's happening in your community, what you think the rest of the province should know about, what you're excited about, what some of the issues are that you think are important. There's no cameras, there's no microphones. You just get to sit across one of these lovely canteen tables from me and have a conversation. And we'll be here all day till 6 p.m. here in Eriksdale.
Lovely. So you got the banner. You're pretty easy to spot. For folks who don't know, what is Communities in Focus?
Yeah, so this is a project that CBC Manitoba has been doing. This is our second year of doing it. This is basically when a team from our newsroom spends time in different parts of the province, all around the province. And the goal is really to better get to know your community so that we can do a better job of reflecting your stories on all our platforms, right? Television, radio, online, social media. I think often we'll go into a community in reaction to a story, which is kind of one way of doing our job, but we really want to do get to know communities better in all their depth and nuance, and that takes time. And so 1 week here, 1 week there is the start of building that relationship and getting to know that community. So, in the past couple of years, we've been up north. We were just in Island Lake in October, and Wasagamot, Garden Hill, Red Circle Lake, St. Teresa Point. We were in Verdun in September. Last spring, we were in Steinbach. So it's really fun going to all different corners of the province and getting to know those communities. And I've been really blown away with how generous and welcoming and inviting communities have been. because we are CBC Manitoba, right? And your Radio Noon audience will know that better than anyone, how there's such a wealth of stories across the province beyond Winnipeg. So that's something that Communities in Focus is trying to do.
Now, if someone from Ericsdale or the surrounding area is listening and they're like, thinking that they might have something to tell you about, but they're not sure if it's the kind of story you want, what kind of stories are you looking for? Is there a limit?
There really isn't. Whatever matters to you, right? Whatever's important to you, chances are, is a story. And so we don't really have an agenda here. We don't have a criteria. Whatever matters to you, come by. And you know, if you're not sure, we can certainly have a conversation about it. Like I said, there's no cameras or microphones here, so you're not obliged to go on the air or anything. We know that can be intimidating. So come by, and it's also a chance for you to ask us questions too as well about CBC Manitoba, what we do, what it's like. And it's really about building those relationships. So if you think you might have a story, you're not sure, come by and at least have a chat. At the very least, come and grab the free CBC pin and CBC pen. That's the least we could do.
Those pens, I have one on my desk. They are so nice. They write so well. So go for the pens.
They work. Okay, good.
Now,
I'm glad they work.
Nadia, you're on the move this week. The road trip continues. Where are you heading next?
So today we're in Ericsdale, as we said, from 1 to 6 p.m. here at the Recreation Centre. And then tomorrow we're going to Ashen. Marty Marcusa will be doing information radio live from the Chicken Chef in Ashen tomorrow morning. Everyone is welcome to come and see her in action from 6 a.m. to 8:30.
I love that.
And then I'll be in Ashen tomorrow. We have a community breakfast at the Chicken Chef. Everyone is welcome to come and enjoy breakfast with us, get to meet Marcy, get to meet Bryce Hoy, who's our reporter. I'll be there. A whole bunch of us will be there. And then I'll be doing my community office hours at that same location, Chicken Chef in Ashen, tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So again, if you're in Ashen tomorrow and you have a story, you just want to come and say hi, we'll be there. Looking forward to meeting members of the community.
And breakfast. Oh, can't go wrong with breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. At least come and grab some coffee and something to eat. So yeah.
Nadia,
We're
thank
looking
you.
forward to meeting people.
For sure. Nadia, thank you so much and have fun in Ericsdale.
Thank you, Chloe. And all this information is on our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba/community. So you can check that as well if you missed any of the details. But looking forward to meeting people. Thanks, Chloe.
Thank you. Nadia Kidwai is CBC Manitoba's senior producer of Community Connection. And as we said, you can visit Nadia today in Ericsdale at the Ericsdale Recreation Centre Cafe from 1 till 6 p.m. today. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Chloe Friesen in for Marjorie Dowhouse. The children who had their entire lives captured and uploaded online during the 2000s mommy blog era have grown up. It marked a very specific time on the internet. Suddenly, families could make serious money by just uploading a video of their child to social media. But now grown up, these children have a lot to say about their experiences and feel some deep anguish. Journalist Fortesha Latifi has been speaking to some of these kids. She recently published a 3-part series for Cosmopolitan called The Sharenting Reckoning. Here, she speaks with Front Burner host Jamie Poisson about the experience of one young influencer who is now in her 20s.
I think one of the most striking things that she told me was just how much pressure she felt, knowing that so much of her family's financial health was dependent on the content that they made. So she would have to stay up until, 1 or 2 in the morning, retaking this shoot or a video to make sure that it was perfect. And if her mom didn't think that her smile was bright enough or that she was, saying her lines with enough enthusiasm, it would kind of devolve into like, well, do you not care about our family? Do you not want us to make our mortgage payment next month? And so I think the pressure was really striking to me.
And I know there's one part where she talks about doing sponsored posts and stuff, right? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, she did a lot of sponsored content. So her mom had a lot of brand deals, and her daughter was included in those, not only creating the content with her, but scripting it and starring in it. And Vanessa actually told me that when she had her first menstrual cycle, her mom got them a sponsored post around sanitary pads.
When she looks back at that time and she reflects on her childhood, did she feel like she had one?
No, she said that being the child of an influencer parent, that you have to grow up really fast. I think just her awareness of how much financial stress the family could be in if she wasn't, compliant was really stressful to her. And she said it felt like she had to grow up a lot faster than other kids. And she said around the time she was 10, she went to another young friend's house and she was like astonished that like they didn't have to worry about finances or making content or anything.
Hmm.
And so I think that really shows the difference between her childhood and other childhoods.
That was journalist Fortessa Latifi on the CBC podcast Front Burner. To hear more, go to CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts. It's almost time to wrap up Radio Noon here, but we've got time for a little bit of music. So here's a tune from East Coast singer-songwriter Jen Grant off her 2023 album Champagne Problems. This is Easy Come, Easy Go.
They say live, laugh, and love, but I ain't laughing. And this ain't no living without your love. They say you gotta dance like nobody's watching. Well, nobody's watching, and I'm still alone. The old ways we talked about love doesn't impress me much now that you're gone. And cliches are never enough. The moment we touched, we got swept away. Like they say, easy come, easy go. Like they say, easy come, easy go. They say what doesn't kill you just makes you stronger. But I am not stronger, and I'm still undone. They say just gotta smile, but I can't compromise my state of mind. Keep calm and carry on. The old ways we talked about love doesn't impress me much now that you're gone. And cliches are never enough. But the moment we touched, I got swept away. Like they say, easy come, easy go. Like they say, easy come, easy go. Easy come, easy go. Now when time's moving slow, I leave my heart at the door. When we talk about love, easy come, easy go. Talk is cheap and it's all that I'm ready to fall. When we talk about love, they say, easy come, easy go. They say, easy come, easy go. They say, easy come, easy go.
That's Jen Grant with Easy Come, Easy Go. And it's almost time for us to go here on Radio Noon. But first, a guest host for Up to Speed, Brittany Greenslade, joins us in the studio. Brittany, what do we have to look forward to today on Up to Speed?
Well, Chloe, we have some very important topics that we need to talk about.
Okay.
So we're going to be talking about a motion that was passed in Ottawa regarding the Israel-Hamas war. But then we also want to have some fun,
Of course
right?
we do.
So we're going to talk about the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, the lineup that's been announced. And you know what? Have a few laughs this afternoon,
Let's have
too.
a few laughs this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you so much,
You're
Brittany.
welcome.
That's CBC's Brittany Greenslade. She's filling in for Faith Fundal on Up to Speed this afternoon. That runs from 3 till 6 p.m. Definitely stay tuned for that. Looking forward to some comedy there. Thank you for tuning in to Radio Noon today on CBC Radio 1. I'm Chloe Friesen, filling in for Marjorie Dowhouse. One last look at the temperatures across the province. At the Brandon Airport, mostly cloudy, sitting at -13. Our cold spot, no surprises, Churchill, ice crystals at the airport, -28. Dauphin, you're sunny at -14. And our hot spot is Morden at -9. Hi, Mom, by the way, in Morden. Thank you for tuning in to Radio Noon, and thank you to the team who helped put the show together today. Corey Funk, Kalkanen Mulligeta, Rosanna Hempel, Riley Lachuk, Travis Peterson has been running the show on our YouTube live stream. Dylan Longhurst is our tech and director. Our show producer is Nelly Gonzalez. Leif Larson is our senior producer of audio. You're listening to CBC Radio 1. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Writers and Company.